Catching your own lies is the mature thing to do, rather than waiting for someone else to have to do it for you. Your wellness factor is a combination of your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. Both the physical and emotional are of a physical nature. The emotional is psychological, notwithstanding it is physical in nature. 100 people can be in the same room, seeing the same presentation, listening to the same speaker, and everybody come out with their own interpretation. So a human being is both physical and spiritual in nature. So whatever is not physical about him or her is spiritual. Understanding reality. Reality is you should not be difficult to comprehend, for it is whatever comes naturally. If you have to invent reality, then it's either a lie or a story you're building, not reality. Truth and reality are related in that truth is something you come to realize. It's when you go, uh-huh. It's not something you read in a book or hear from an authority figure. It's when you go, oh, I got it. Because truth doesn't change, so you can only come to realize it. Reality, reality doesn't change. For instance, your existential reality is that you come with a defined space, referring to your height and shoulder width. And you come with a lifespan, which is the definition of time, both comprising one the definition of space, the other of time, both comprising your physical realities, beyond which you cannot grow. Everything in the physical created universe has definition, boundaries beyond which you cannot grow, and everything is cyclical. It goes around in a cycle. To reach your intended and ultimate destination, where cycles are concerned, you have to break them. Like to reach your career destination, and so you have to break a cycle. Otherwise, you go circular. Cycles are only good for fishing, farming, and calendar making. With your physical reality, you are free to create your own psychological drama. Your psychological drama includes your personality, your character. God doesn't have either one. God is simply a presence, a powerful one at that. So you don't really need, you can have several personalities. You can have more than one characters. I use them on stage. When I perform with square peg players, we change characters to suit. You know, um, yeah, you adapt a personality depending on, what you're dealing with. You can do that, but look, there's no stronger, better way than to just be a powerful presence. If the color of the room is white, you become that. Like God. God is just a presence. So your psychological reality also includes makeup that you may wear, your thought and emotion. They're not real. Once you can change something, it's not real. Reality never changes. The distinction is that reality is what exists. What you need to understand is not because you're able to capture something or someone with your five common senses mean it's either not real or does not exist. Because you're unable to capture it with your common senses. I will take you back to your drawing board, the way you're designed. You're both physical, right? You have a physical body and mind, and you're a spirit being. God breathed. you only became life when God breathed life into you. So you're a spirit being. At the core, you have 5 layers, one inside the other. The outermost is your physical, inside of which you have your mental, inside of which you have your energy body, inside of which you have your uh, transient body, going from physical to spiritual when you die. That's your transient body, which is the ghost people see when they fail to properly dispose of the remains of a deceased person, relative, and so, like keeping ash in the house, keeping all the clothes of used clothing of that person. They see the ghost. You have, because the person is not resting in peace. You have to properly dispose. So that's your makeup, okay? You come with 5 layers of body. I just named 4. The 5th is non-physical. At the core, you're a spirit being. Everything outside your core is outside of you. So you are a spirit being at the core. Those 4 other layers are outside of you. To go from physical material to the spirit realm, which is the realm of nothingness, yeah, God is, look, in the beginning there was nothing. So in the beginning there was God. In the beginning there was only darkness. So the darkness, nothingness, and space refer to the same, one and the same. So because God is darkness, and God is also nothingness, then there's nothing to be afraid of. You don't have to be afraid of the dark. And space is therein you are free to roam. The concept of space comes in because when you talk about creation, before God broke into space to form creation, to create this universe, we didn't need to talk about space as well as gravity. So in other words, then creation is God holding the 5% space in the palm of his hand or her hand. That's by the mere force of gravity. Because the rest of 95% is pure darkness, nothingness, or space. Continues to be. Only 5% of existence is creation. You need to understand. But Marley said that understanding is too small. You need to understand this. That's the drawing board. To go from one realm, physical, material realm, to the spirit realm, the realm of nothingness, there's only one way. To go through an explosion, to go from physical to spiritual, because one is material, one is nothingness. So you have to go through stages, right? For logic cannot bridge the two. The physical material universe is logical. You can't comprehend, appreciate spirit, things of a spirit nature through logic. It's impossible. So you just have to surrender to that process. You go through an explosion to go from one realm to the next, the physical to the spiritual. For there is no bridge between the two. No bridge between the logic in nature, which is the physical created universe, and the other space to go from one realm to the next, the realm of nothingness. So you have to go through the stages where, as a human being, you're in a rigid state. I am this way, I was born this way. You go from that to becoming flexible, where you're no longer picky and choosy. I like this, but I don't like that. Then you go from that stage to vapor, where, okay, when children are blowing bubbles, they say, this is my bubble, that's your bubble. But once the bubble bursts, you can't distinguish. You're both breathing the same air, both kids, right? So there's no longer your and mine. And you go from that stage of vapor to the realm of nothingness, which is the realm of the spirit. So because there is no bridge between the physical and spirit realms, You cannot comprehend it using logic. You can only surrender to such a process. Yeah? So surrender in this language, in the spirit language, is by no way a weak term. There's no other way to appreciate things of a spirit nature but to surrender to the process, because you can't comprehend it, you can't bridge it through logic. For example, before you can know anything, you first must be able to perceive it. It has to enter your perception. You must be able to conceptualize it. And there are only two ways of perception. One is with logic, reasoning, and understanding. You're using your five common senses. And the other way of perceiving something is through the experience of a relationship, which is the way, hypothetically, you'd know a prostitute. Through the experience of i.e., a one-night stand. That is also the way you'd know God, who is of a spirit nature. God is a spirit. You cannot see God. You can't understand God, not through your logical comport, right? Your common senses, composition. So you can only appreciate God through the experience of a relationship, the same way you would appreciate a prostitute hypothetically, through the experience of a relationship. And that is the way you also know the nature of your own existence, through the experience. All experiences are generated from within yourself. That's the way you're experiencing me right now, from within yourself through your retina. I'm a distance away, but you're seeing me within yourself. That is the way you think. That is the way you experience life, from within yourself through your consciousness and awareness. So, when it comes to your holistic well-being, as far as your emotional well-being goes, you have 100% control over how you think, feel, and experience life. They are of a physical nature, so you can change them. Look, people want what everyone wants. Is pleasantness within themselves and without. So that's where, you need to do inner engineering, so that in your body, energy system, thought, and emotion, you're pleasant all the way around. You have 100% control over that. Whereas you can only influence the environment because other people have a say-so. When things aren't going your way, don't get all bent out of shape. It's either because it's going somebody else's way or God's way. So that's what it boils down to. If you are the subject with a situation, having a situation of which the issue is emotional in nature, it is one thing for you, if you are in control of your faculties, your mental faculty, that is, of your sound mind. It is quite another thing if you need intervention from outside, i.e. to be getting placebo pills. Because psychology is something you should never use on yourself. And pray God, people shouldn't have to use it on you. You could use psychology on other people. I wouldn't normally, I don't do it. I habitually. I don't recommend doing it. I rather telling people the truth, being truthful with people. If my answer is no, then I say no. If it's wait and see, then it's wait and see. If I can't, I say I can't. If I don't have it, I say I don't have it. So I rather be truthful with people, not use psychology on them. But certainly when it comes to myself, I don't psych myself. You should always tell yourself the truth. I'm 63, and it wasn't until I became a seeker, which is approximately 5 years ago, that I stopped BSing myself. When I stopped believing and started seeking, I began catching my own lies. By the way, I neither believe or disbelieve anything. I wait for it to enter my experience. I'm a realist. I'm a realist. For God is real, the created universe is real, you know. Reality never changes, it's what comes naturally. I don't need to either be an optimist or a pessimist. I'm a realist. I don't psych myself. Instead, I'm always prepared for the battlefield. I remain joyful, always knowing what to do, always knowing what to do. I sit on a stable foundation built with the combination of divine spiritual power, known as grace, coming from on high, with together with the power, my own power, making me consecrated. I have established a consecrated space where I remain meditative within myself. It's like an altar. So making me indestructible. Because I remain in the spirit realm. I operate and I'm governed by my spirit. After all, you like me, we are spirit beings at the core. So people wait, you know, for to live in the spirit realm in the hereafter. You should be living in the spirit realm here in the here and now. You were born spiritual, you know, but you drifted as you adopted more and more identifications. Because to every time you identify, you say, this is my family. You're discriminating. You're saying the others are not. And when you discriminate, you're drifting from your spirit core, because God is a spirit. And God, who is a spirit being, is one. The entire 8.3 billion people in the world call God Father. He created. God is their creator. So there's no such thing technically as my God. God is God for everyone. God, who else created them? So in the spirit realm, when you're governed by the spirit, you're free to roam. You're free to grow and expand. Only there. You can't grow and expand limitlessly in the physical realm, driving through your body and mind. So that's why the choice to live being governed by the spirit. So I'm like a vehicle on four wheels, and you can become the same. I'm governed by my spirit. My body and energy system are my two back wheels, which are stable, already going in the direction of life. My thought and emotion are my two front wheels, which I constantly have to bring into alignment, because they tend to veneer and want to be all over the road. But all four wheels need to be aligned and going in one and the same direction for me to get to my ultimate destination. So you see, to every time you make poison from within by getting bitter, angry, envious, and the like. You may intend those poisons for other people, but you're the one drinking them yourself. So that is the problem. Whenever you're creating poison and drinking them yourself, poisoning your own system, you're telling your system you don't want to live. So that's why those two front wheels constantly have to be brought into alignment, because one moment you're saying I want to live, the next moment you're saying you don't. You need to be consistent. You're the one who, how foolhardy could you be to create poison and drink it yourself? So, look, all emotions are created from within. You are the chemical factory. So, in your mind, in your emotion, when you're pleasant in your mind, that's how you're peaceful and joyful. When you're pleasant in your body, is how you're healthy and always benevolent. When you're pleasant in your energy system, that's how you're blissful and often ecstatic. And when you're pleasant in your emotion, it's how you're loving and compassionate. That will be all. I'm out.